welcome back to Anime Casuals. I'm Lucky.
Here I go! This hand of mine is burning red!
And I'm Michael. Realize the only ones who should kill are those who are prepared to be killed.
Johnny.
Your darkness swallowed up my son? Who decided that?
Erupting! Burning!
Now all of you.
Die.
Okay, and 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Anime Casuals. I'm Michael.
I'm a Johnny.
And this is the Casual Discussion. Thank you to everybody who's tuning in every week, and to all of you who comment down below. This week, we're doing a special Lucky-approved, bizarre discussion about Jojo. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, that is. And we are only going up to the end of Stardust Crusaders, which I would also say, like, between Stardust Crusaders, I mean, I haven't watched too much of the next seasons. I know Lucky has. But I feel like Stardust Crusaders is the end of, like, a major part of JoJo, and then, like, the next part is a weird, bizarre adventure after that.
Even more bizarre.
Yeah, like it's just, like, it's wild.
I know I've heard some weird things, like stuff that just doesn't make sense. So, I mean, I know some weird stuff in there, but I don't think I'm even ready for it. So.
Yeah, no, but you will be when you get there. So, if you have not watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, obviously this is going to be spoiler-filled. If you are looking for a reason to watch it, like, go ahead, stay tuned, and stop when you want, because we have never seen JoJo before, and this is our first time through it. I think, Johnny, you rewatched part of it in your adventure to go through?
I've started the first season of JoJo a couple times, and I've only gotten so far as like 5 episodes the first 2 times, and it was, I think, the 3rd time that I actually stuck with it. I don't know, I couldn't handle the dog dying. I was like, oh god, I can't. Dio, you're a monster.
Also, before we even get started, whoever, the person who writes JoJo hates dogs, apparently.
Oh, yes.
They hate dog and animals, but mostly dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly dogs. So we're going to go through this in steps. I don't really remember. I only remember Stardust Crusaders. I don't really remember the other names of the other seasons, but I will for sure look them up at the same time while we're talking. So, I mean, like, why? I guess let's get into, like, why didn't you start it earlier?
Exactly for the title. It just seemed bizarre. I don't know. I'd always heard such strange things, and I guess through time and the years, I just realized it was so weird because it didn't help, just seeing all like the memes and just gifs of all of them just doing weird things, like Kakyoin with his stupid cherry.
Oh my god!
And that wasn't even that big a deal. I thought that was a bad guy this whole time. I thought maybe that was Dio or something. He was like, "I'm evil," and I was like, "That fits," but no, he just I like cherries. That was all it was.
Okay, I looked up. There's 2 seasons. There's okay. We've only watched 2 seasons.
I was gonna say
we've watched Phantom Blood Battle Tendency, which I think is 2 JoJos in there, and then we have Stardust Crusaders.
I was gonna say I think the first one is actually like first half is one JoJo, the second half is
Jonathan's son, and then it's Joseph, and then it's Jotaro. Yes. And then it's Josuke, but you haven't got there yet. Yeah. So I would say, first of all, in the first half of Phantom Blood Battle Tendency, dude, it's wild to get into it. Also wild that between the 2 seasons, there's a certain ability that comes into it, and then a certain ability that disappears. There is an ability called Hamon. And Hamon, it seems like a really cool thing, right? Like the first thing, like, Jonathan, after his friend Dio, like, absolutely betrays him because he's only learned a rough life, and then
like his stepbrother or something, technically.
Yes, technically, because basically what happens is Jonathan is like in a wealthy family, kind of gets along with everybody, like is kind of liked by everybody. And then we have the opposite, who is Dio Brando, who is like ever since he was a kid, he grew up with like a really alcoholic father who's abusive, a mom who like does not care, and I think dies early on in his life.
Something like that.
And like basically after his mom dies, his dad just kind of abuses him and uses him to get anything he needs, like go get booze, go get everything, because he's like that far down in the hole. Eventually Dio then does kill his dad and then escapes, and basically the situation between the two of them is that Jonathan Joestar's dad, quote unquote, was saved by Dio's father, something like that, or he believes like that he was saved by Dio's father, when in fact Dio's father was just trying to rob him, and it was all an accident, something like that.
Yeah, I think Dio's dad like hated the Joestars or something.
Yes, because they had money.
Yeah, he was just like, they're terrible people. We got to get rid of all of them. So then, yeah, Dio just kind of infiltrated the family somehow.
Yeah,
there and just tried to push Jonathan out.
But literally the first thing was locking his dog in a furnace. And
take the hint.
Take the hint from that Dio's not a good guy. And almost immediately, I think there's like a stone mask in the Joestar household that they're in charge of keeping, or he finds it.
I don't remember how that got there. But yeah, they had a stone mask.
Yeah, it's so far away that I forget it. Dio puts on the mask, becomes a vampire, and then like starts making a lot of vampires after like stealing the first kiss from his girlfriend, basically poisoning his dad till where he almost dies, basically making life hell for Jonathan, and then disappears. And then Jonathan goes on an adventure where he meets a guy who has ham-on abilities, like sticks his pinky directly into the like his rib cavity and hits his lungs, and oh my god, like there is so much to the first half of this first season. But what was the highlights for you, Johnny?
Man, probably a lot of the ending stuff when he finds Dio again and
just sitting in a castle,
finds him on the boat, and
tries
to get rid of him.
Oh, that's true. There was two parts to that. Yeah,
whole gnarly fight, and even just meeting that season with Jonathan had the one with the Zappelli, right?
Yeah.
The
top hat guy. Yeah, and REO Speedwagon.
I mean, and Speedwagon, good old Speedwagon. Oh man, I'm so glad. I was worried actually in Stardust Crusaders. I was like, I haven't seen anything about the Speedwagon Foundation. And then one day they're like, hey, it's the Speedwagon Foundation. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's good. They're not Speedwagon lived in a way. That's good. Good for him. Yeah. But I mean, it introduced a lot of characters, and even just like introduced, like you were saying, the Hamon, and kind of made this whole like generational thing, which I mean, and is actually a really cool thing about the anime in its entirety.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just the premise of the Hamon and just kind of seeing it evolve even into the rest of the season. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if there's necessarily one part I like. It's more just the entire premise of the show.
Yeah.
I mean, they threw a dog in a furnace. How am I supposed to like find a part that I like? I can't get that out of my brain.
That is very true, and the reason why you had trouble starting in the first place.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to watch this. This is awful. I'll go watch Konosuba or something. Just something else happier. Made in Abyss. No, I'm kidding. That would have been before I knew.
Oh, I also found out the first season is called Fan of Blood, and then the second season is called Battle Tendency.
Ah.
So they're just fused because they're basically about the same thing.
Is the next one Diamond Unbreakable?
Diamond is Unbreakable, yeah.
Okay.
The one after Stardust Crusaders.
See, that's just another thing. Like, having never seen that season yet, Diamond Unbreakable.
Weirdly, Diamond is Unbreakable is also where I've seen a lot of spoilers from, because I think Lucky was watching it, and I just hit an episode where I was like, I remember watching this, and I don't remember who or why I was watching this. But I would agree. Like, what I really loved about Phantom Blood was from the castle ending, dude, it was so hard to get up to there. Honestly, it was hard. To binge through the beginning was so slow.
A little bit of a hard watch.
Yes.
That first season.
It is.
Second season's definitely a lot quicker.
Even though they use the same formula for every season. But getting to the part after the castle where he basically uses Hamon and almost incinerates Dio, but Dio chops off his head in time, and his head just like floats away off the edge of a cliff. And then like his weird like apprentice guy is like, Dio, master, I shall put you in this coffin. And then they put the coffin on a boat later when Jonathan thinks he's safe and has already impregnated his wife. And then on board the cruise, everybody turns to a vampire except for obviously Jojo and his wife.
Mhm.
And post that, then Dio like is like trying to kill Jonathan again, and finally Jonathan's like, oh, the only thing I could do instead of homoning ahead is to hold him while the boat explodes. And then my wife gets off, and it's all fine. And so like season 1 Phantom Blood ends with Jonathan's dead, Dio's apparently dead, and then his wife is gone with his child, and then another child that we learn about in the second part.
Yeah.
So the next part, Battle Tendency, starts off with... Oh, I forgot.
I'll be honest, I don't remember how it starts.
Joseph. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just know it's about Joseph.
Yeah. Joseph being...
That
Oh,
cocky-
no. Yeah, Joseph, fine. Jotaro is the prick to his mom.
Oh, yeah.
So Joseph starts off, and he's like, yo, what's up? Like, I'm Joseph. I'm super cool. And I have such a lack of knowledge about this because the second half, or like Stardust Crusaders takes such a huge impact in my memory. So Battle Tendency was like weird because it had to do with Dio, but then it didn't have anything to do with Dio. It just about like what Dio set up, because the beginning of it is like Speedwagon going in an underground area, and there's like a bunch of like stone people, right? Is it?
Yeah, I guess they find some like earlier vampires. I don't know if that's necessarily what they are, but yeah, they find some underground crypt or something, and of course, who's helping Speedwagon? Isn't it like the Germans or something?
Yeah, I know what this episode's going to be called. It's just going to be called A Bizarre Explanation.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, and that's probably actually the bigger thing that I took away from that first season of JoJo. These German guys are so crazy. Even that
Jojo!
Karl Honstreim or something? I
Yep.
don't know, something like that. And that guy was insane, and he was always so fun to watch,
Yep.
just because he was a ridiculous, yelling at the top of his lungs
Mhm.
German guy.
Yep.
And he was just hilarious.
Yeah.
And even in season 2, or not season 2, but the part 2 of season 1, he comes back and he shows himself off as to be another crazy, just German guy, and he's awesome. So, I mean, it's definitely a wild ride, and they definitely kind of explored the whole, like, vampires, bigger, they're horrible, with these names, and they have awful names, too. What is it? AC/DC, WAMU, Scar? I don't know if it's Scars or SARS.
I don't know. I don't remember the last guy's
It's
name.
probably not SARS, actually. Maybe not, but yeah. I mean, those guys were all pretty crazy, and I thought that was a big takeaway. I mean, they all had really cool fights, and we got to see Jojo do a lot of crazy hormone stuff, and even with his partner, the son of that Sapelli guy. So I thought that was also really cool, seeing the whole generational thing, because I always knew that Jojo, each season had like another iteration.
Yeah,
I was
new
like,
Jojo.
I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
But, I mean, whatever.
And I would agree. I would say, like, we don't even need to talk about the story, because the story was so wild that it didn't matter. And I think when you go into Stardust Crusaders, none of that story matters. Like, none of it. Yeah. Except for what Joseph has been through. Because Joseph is the biggest recurring character in, like, the series so far, because he's in 2 series, and none of the other JoJos are in 2 series.
Well, actually,
so far.
I thought Jotaro, I don't know. I saw the first season of the next one. Or,
yes, he is in that. But, like, so far in Stardust Crusaders, Joseph's in both of them.
Yeah.
So it's fun to see where Joseph came from. We also learn about, like, Joseph's mom through it. And, like, basically, you could also call this season the death of Hamon.
Yeah, the replacement of Hamon. Because, I mean, it's so... That's probably the biggest weird thing about the entire show. They set up, like, a power scale, and then they say... Screw that. Check out this new one.
Also because they're like, hey, vampires? We don't care about vampires anymore. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, until like the very end when they're like, suddenly vampires.
Yeah, exactly.
It was definitely totally, it's kind of a weird, I don't know, mixture of powers that they do in it, but I mean, I don't know. It's with its ridiculousness, it's kind of fine, I guess.
And that's the thing. I would also say, like, if you really want to start JoJo, but you want to skip a little bit, you could start at Stardust Crusaders. But like, I think it's fun to watch the progression of JoJo's to see where they came from. Also, because the battle tendency started off with like a vampire that cannot be killed is the perfect it's the perfect thing, and then it dies like so quickly, and then they go, but these other vampires that are on the side of that vampire are stronger.
They're the perfect.
Yeah,
they're
they're
dead still.
They're dead, and we're at the end. Okay,
See,
interesting.
They made Hamon seem so cool, and it's so weird that they just change it to stands.
Yeah.
Not that stands are really a problem, but I mean Hamon. It was so weird they changed it. And Joseph gets like the lamest stand.
Yes, he does.
I mean, there might be like one or two others that are a bit lamer, but I don't know. Hermit Purple, and he just blows up electronics. Admittedly, the last like 4 episodes, he can like be Spider-Man.
Yeah,
he never does that ever again. But we'll get in that maybe a little later.
Yeah.
Well,
we can wrap up Battle Tendency. Let's go to Stardust Crusaders because we're talking about it. This is like 15 years in the future. Joseph's definitely older. No, like maybe
it might be like 20.
It might be like 20.
Closer to that.
Because Susie Q's old.
Yeah, that might actually be more.
Yeah.
Either way, I mean, well, yeah, because Joseph has a kid, and then his kid has Jotaro. So actually, that could be more like 40 years.
Yeah, it's a long
totally
time.
Off,
but this is actually really cool because we get an introduction to all these characters. We get an introduction to a new power, which is stands. We get introduced to like Dio coming back, which is already like in the first like couple episodes. We get introduced to like why the stands are existing, which actually goes more into it in the next season as well. And we get introduced into like basically what the plot is going to be for this season, which is take down Dio. So not Suzy Q, Jotaro's mom.
It was like save Suzy Q or something. Or save Holly.
Save Holly, there we go. Which is
I think
the daughter, which is Jotaro's mom.
And then stop Dio.
Yeah, and then stop Dio. So it was like, and they had like something like 70, 60 days, it's 45 days, somewhat long amount of time to get to Dio before Holly dies. Which also the whole time I was like, dude, what is Holly's stand? Like, it looks all plant-like, kind of like Joseph's. So I was like, what is that stand? That seems really cool. But so far that we know, they didn't go into it. So as like time progresses, basically the theme of the season is introduce as many villain stand users as possible, fight them, and then continue on and explore Egypt at the same time. And that's literally the whole thing until the very end.
All on the theme of tarot cards.
Yes, and then Egyptian gods. So it was, I would say, a step and a half above everything that has come before because the fights are cooler, more interesting. We have Oingo Boingo, which I think was like, dude, that caught me off guard. It was like
Boingo.
It was a left punch across the jaw. Like that's what a left jab right across the jaw.
So insane.
Yeah.
And watching the closer for that was ridiculous. I mean, the animation was horrible and horrifying, but you can't stop watching it at the same time.
Yep.
Man, I did you have a favorite stand?
That's what I was gonna ask you too.
Okay.
You want to do like tarot and Egyptian? If you can remember the tarots.
I was gonna say I'm just trying to remember them all. Which ones are cool? Like Pet Shop was pretty awesome. I don't know why it got ice powers and why that means.
Also, why it has a sick ass dragon stand.
Yeah.
That thing was crazy, dude. The whole thing between Iggy and Pet Shop was really cool because of like their unsaid words, even though Iggy was actually talking. Yeah. Also, I hated the fact that Iggy's head looked like a human head.
I don't think I noticed that. I always saw it as a dog with really huge ears.
Every time he looks forward and the snout disappears into like a flat face, it was just like full human with like a 5 head.
Okay.
Because the eyes were so big comparatively to every other dog we've seen. Iggy had big old anime eyes. Yeah, that fight was really, really cool. I don't remember if the magnet lady was. No, she was Egyptian too. She was Bastet. That I really enjoyed because of how it led off of the previous fight between I think that was Oingo Boingo and Whole Horse. Like that was happening at the same time as the magnet fight.
Okay. I think I think I actually remember that.
Yeah. And the dual battles that was happening at the same time, that was really fun to watch because it was like, what's happening with half of the JoJo crew? And then what's happening? Oh, I guess the Stardust Crusaders, I think is what they call themselves. What's happening with half the Crusaders and what's happening with the other half? And I like the whole Bastet fight. One, because we have like a classic meme from JoJo, which is the two of them getting magnetically stuck together and then having to push their head off of each other's groin. And two, because I like how she like moved throughout the city like so casually.
Yeah.
And then eventually how she died was, well, quote unquote died. There's some of them who went to the hospital, which I was like, that's fine. And how she got like wrecked at the end were both JoJo and, oh no, I forgot his name. What's the fire guy's name? Red.
Oh, you mean Joseph and
Oh, it was Joseph. Yeah, Abdul. Yeah, which we learned how to say their names too, like Polner F. That was wild.
Polner F didn't die, and I'm angry about it. We'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah. That how she just gets squished by all the stuff that's following them, and then she's just crushed to the middle, and she breaks every bone in her body. And I was like, excellent. Oh,
that
also,
seemed like a blunder on her part.
It did. It was a huge blunder on her part. Also, the Polner F fight with the weird gross guy. The guy
being
the guy who turned him into a kid. That was very memorable.
He had a weird stand. That I don't know why. Actually, I don't know why. No, I was gonna say I don't know why that's coming up now, but I forgot that this isn't like a current thing. But I don't know. One Piece did a person with that same kind of ability. Like they take off 13 years at a time.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was such a weird and terrifying ability. I don't know why they were like, randomly a kid just because he jumped. Because I mean, that other lady just turned into a fetus
immediately.
That was awful.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, I don't think she has too long. Like, yeah, she should be not here. She'd be somewhere else.
Yeah.
In a womb or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was horrible.
It was, in fact, horrible.
So I guess would she have just kind of into nothing if she had just stood in the shadow?
I mean, that's a great question because maybe she just turned back into egg and sperm. You never know.
1 became 2.
2 became 3.
So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, as far as my favorite stand,
yeah, I think, dude, the stupidest one was the sun one. I hated that. That was so dumb. I hated it. In fact, I would say that the Egyptian ones were like a step above all the tarot ones.
I thought the genie one was kind of cool.
Oh, okay, never mind.
It was more of like a monkey's paw.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting thing. And I definitely thought Avdol was just like back, and that's how they were going to get him back in the Crusaders. Like he's evil. They'll just keep him around and whatever.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, overall, I guess the thing with that series is I feel like they put a lot in their characters, and then when they get to like the final like a few episodes, they definitely just start just chopping.
There's so many people who die. Like, well, I guess we won't be specific with it, but I mean, like, there's so many people who die by the end of the series. It's kind of crazy. And Johnny said, that's our one spoiler. Polnareff does not die.
And he should, because he's a joke. But you'll understand that. He's insane.
He's also so stupid.
He's constantly getting saved.
I hate him.
Horrible.
I like his personality. I just hate how stupid he is. I hate how stupid he is because
I just don't like him. The best thing he said in the entire series was, "No, I'm gonna go back to Paris."
Yep. And he's gone.
The season ended.
Yep.
So I was like, "Yeah, good job, Polnareff. You get out of here.
Yeah.
With your dumb chariot."
Yeah, and I would also say like a highlight of the all of Stardust Crusaders is obviously the last couple episodes where Jotaro and Dio are fighting. Like that whole thing was actually really, really good, and watching how everybody's like interacting with Dio and how Dio is like another step above of where he was before. That was all really well written and a really cool battle. I am sad with a couple of the character deaths that happened in that part, but I do really like it because all of the characters have a role to play in this final battle. To be fair, I feel like Dio could have easily won the battle twice, but because he's so cautious, he doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't mind the characters died in that ending part. I just didn't like how they did it. Like they made such a big deal about Avdol because he has an incident, and he has a big accident, and he eventually comes back, and it was a big deal. But then the way he goes towards the end is it's so abrupt. I don't know. I was like, why did we have like 3 episodes of that?
Of him,
earlier?
yeah.
And even with Kakyoin, who got scratched in the face, he goes to the hospital and he sits there for so many episodes. He's just not even there anymore. He's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then he comes back for like 2 episodes. Just goodbye.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was so crazy how they were just. I don't know. It almost seemed like the writers just kind of forgot, like, oh, we just found Dio's place. We got to start killing people.
Yeah.
Yikes.
To be fair, when they found Dio's place and the weird demon guy who like turns into a ball, there was a lot of death that started from that point and then just continued.
Yeah, it definitely just kicked off out of nowhere. Starting with Iggy and Pet Shop and all the gnarliness there. And...
Also, a quick flashback to the Grandma episode, the Baba Yaga. Dude, that was a funny episode because I thought it was going to be really brutal and kind of crazy, and then it was just comedy. And I was like, that's great. Like, if I were to encapsulate all of JoJo into like one sentence, it'd be like good action, really funny comedy because it's actually really funny.
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely it does a good job of just like subverting your expectations. You think one thing is going to happen, and then just like, no, this is JoJo. We're going to do whatever the hell we want.
It's bizarre.
And I actually wish I had maybe taken a number. Maybe I'll do a fast forward watch, but I'm pretty sure Jotaro doesn't take his hands out of his pockets for more than like 5 minutes at a time ever.
Yeah.
And even then, he's always like, oh, got to put him back in.
Yeah.
Can't keep him out too long. My hands are too sensitive. It's insane. That guy does absolutely like nothing the entire series. It's just his stand. That's the one thing. They just never have him do anything. Even in the last fight with Dio, that's how it starts.
Yeah.
They're just standing there, like attacking each other, and then they just start flying. He never has to move.
The world.
The world. See, now I know what that is too.
Yeah.
I never understood what Dio's power was because they were like, it's the world. Like,
and now
he just hit people with planets. What does that mean?
Yep, that's exactly what he does. Yeah, and I would to say, Johnny, have you enjoyed your binge so far?
So far, yes. It's been a ride.
I think
even with me
Stardust,
hating like Polnareff, Stardust Crusaders is probably the better season of them. I mean, the first season is just it's a good baseline for an anime, but then Stardust just says we don't know what we're doing.
Yep. They were just having fun.
Go wild with it, and it's fine.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah. And
especially Joseph. The only thing that I didn't understand from the bridge between the season 1 and season 2, if you watch it in English, Joseph Joestar has like an English accent. He's like, I'm going to use my hormone.
And then he loses
he
it.
switches to not English. He's like, yes, my hormone. I don't know where it goes. I don't understand. It's so insane, but I'm okay with it. I mean, the voice actor's fun, but I was like, well, he's just not British anymore?
Well, I mean, he's still British, but then 20 years of living wherever he's living eliminated it.
I guess that's true. I just wouldn't have thought he'd
because I think he went to America, right?
I mean, I guess that would make sense because Jotaro is like in America and he speaks English, but still, I don't know. I just thought it was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, also, I like the accents that they use in the show because they actually have people regionally from like where they're supposed to be, which is what's the thought. I also love how every man is posing is like masculine, feminine, whatever they want to be because it doesn't matter. They can wear what they want. They can be who they want. They can just they're all rippling like they have muscles upon muscles upon muscles, but they will still do wacky poses.
Totally, they totally do that. Like I remember one, I think they just asked Polnareff a simple question, and he's like not facing them, and he goes like, "What?" or something. He does some weird like grabbing his entire body. And
he also has like points like sideways as well.
It's so weird. I mean, I don't know. It's so strange. And even Dio, like towards one of the last episodes, he's like trying to listen to the ground, and he's like, He's doing some pose, like listening.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
It's
And I'm
wacky.
sure it
It's
only
wacky.
gets more so when like Diamond is unbreakable and everything.
Yeah, and we will after Johnny and I have finished it, and maybe Lucky has watched the Stone Ocean, because I think Johnny and I both have the same goal of wanting to get to Jolene. Because honestly, I mean, like, what could she be going through that like is as bizarre as what's going on right now? And I hope it is even more bizarre.
Maybe
that
they go back to Hamon. No.
Do stop. The only thing with that was like when Joseph was like, hormone wrapped Herman Purple. And I was like, cool. Anyways.
I was surprised that still mattered.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Which is the only way you kill vampires, which actually doesn't matter. But I think a lot of fun watching JoJo. If you are interested in listening to more JoJo content, let us know. And or maybe you have a favorite part of JoJo, favorite stand, let us know down below, because it has so many characters in it and so many villains that I think it's hard not to have a favorite, because there's just unless you just don't like JoJo, well then that's okay, because it is pretty bizarre. That's the last time I'm gonna say that joke. But if you like us, you can find us at Anime Casuals, real at gmail.com. Obviously, you can go on our YouTube channel. If you're listening, thank you for that. If you're watching, also thank you for that. And always, you gotta keep
It
casual.
bizarre.